Papal decree. Once during the Dark Ages, the Pope decreed that all Jews must leave Rome. A huge uproar ensued, and even some of the city's nobles protested because they had Jewish friends. So the Pope made a deal. He invited the Jews to send a representative for a religious debate in the Vatican. If their man won, the Jews could stay. If the Pope won, the Jews would leave. Under that kind of pressure, no one wanted to represent the Jewish community. Finally, a shoemaker named Shmuley stepped forward. He was not a rabbi, but he was tough as nails and always gave sound advice when asked. Shmuley requested one condition for the debate. Since he didn't speak Latin and the Pope didn't speak Hebrew, Shmuley suggested that neither side talk. The Pope agreed. The day of the great debate came. Everyone prayed as Shmuley entered the Vatican. Shmuley and the Pope sat before the assembled cardinals for a full minute before the Pope raised his hand and slowly extended 3 fingers. Shmuley looked back at him and slowly raised 1 finger. The Pope waved his hand in a circle around his head. Shmuley emphatically pointed to the ground between them. The Pope pulled out a wafer and a glass of wine. Shmuley pulled out an apple. The Pope stood up and said, "So be it. This man has argued well. The Jews can stay." An hour later, the cardinals surrounded the Pope asking him to recount what happened. "Well, I held up 3 fingers to represent the Trinity." He responded by holding up 1 finger to remind me that there is one God, and both our religions worship him. Then I waved my hand around us to show that God is everywhere. He pointed to the ground between us to show that God is therefore judging this debate. I pulled out the wine and wafer to show that God absolves us from our errors. He pulled out an apple to remind me that some errors have permanent consequences. He had an answer for everything. What could I do? Meanwhile, the Jewish community crowded around Shmuley for his recap. "Well," said Shmuley, "first he said the Jews have 3 days to leave Rome, so I gave him the finger. Then he said the city would be wiped clean of us, so I said we're staying right here. And then?" asked a woman breathlessly. "Who knows?" said Shmuley. "He took out his lunch, so I took out mine."